everyone, and welcome to episode 35 of TeachTechPlay. I'm Eleni Kyritsis, and I'm the host and founder of TeachTechPlay. This morning, we've got a fantastic lineup of presenters who will be sharing a range of tools and ideas that you can take back to your classroom. But before we get started, I'd just like to congratulate our episode 34 winner, Emily McLean, and she shared the app Epic, which is fantastic, and I've been using it with my students, and they are absolutely loving it. Now, in regards to that, she's also one of our keynote speakers at next year's TeachTechPlay conference. So make sure you jump on and purchase your ticket. We have early bird prices till the end of this year, and then they'll be going up slightly. So make sure you jump on board and get that ticket nice and early to secure your place, because last year we did sell out. Now, for today's episode, we have some fantastic presenters with us. I might throw over to them so they can introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about themselves. All right, Trent, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, who you are?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name's Trent Ray. I'm from Melbourne. I'm a teacher and also a Microsoft Learning consultant. So I have the pleasure of working with lots of teachers all over Australia to help them translate probably some of the more complex experiences with Microsoft and translate them into ways in which we can use them more creatively with students in the classroom. So I love that part of my role. And I'm really excited to be here today because I've got a cool little tool to share with everyone. I think lots of teachers will love and be able to get started with it in their classroom.
Perfect. Thank you, Trent. And we've had you many times before, and we love having you back on the show. We also have Penny Rowe. So Penny, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from?
Hi, Eleni. I'm a teacher as well. I currently work at the Department of Education in the Digital Learning branch, and we support schools, leaders, teachers with implementing digital technologies effectively in the classroom and looking at new tech, looking at assessment, the whole gamut of things. Yeah.
Wonderful. And Phil, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi everyone, Phil Carew. I'm the head of e-learning at Trent College in Manaliza. I'm a VC media teacher as well. I'm really excited to be here today. I've been watching for ages, so I'm trying really hard not to fangirl out about it, but really happy to be here. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about an assessment task that we created to really engage students and work with across a range of different areas. So thanks for having me.
No problem, Phil. And yes, we love what you're doing as well. So it's great to have you on the show. Now, I'm just going to share the slides so everyone can see to vote for your favorite presenter. Hopefully it will come up. There we go. So make sure you check out the website, and that's where you can catch up on all our previous episodes, and follow us on Twitter with the TTPlay hashtag. And that's just our conference flyer with our keynote speakers. So make sure you get your tickets soon. But first up today, we actually have Trent. So Trent, you'll be starting off the show today with building your first chat box with Q&A Maker. So when you're ready, Trent, I will start the timer.
Okay.
And we can get started.
Let me just navigate this Zoom platform and get my desktop up first. So hopefully you can see my PowerPoint there.
Yep, perfect.
Yep, good. And if I go to presenter mode, oh, it even jumps onto the screen. Awesome. All right, I'm ready to go. So hit the timer.
Perfect.
Do we get an extra minute this time because there's only 4 of us presenting?
Haha, no.
No? Okay, all right.
I'll give you a 1-minute warning.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Eleni. All right, so I'm going to share with you this idea that I have seen recently and got super excited about it, and was desperate to have a chance to share it with people. So it's a very new tool that's free on the Microsoft platform. It's called Q&A Maker.ai, and it allows you to create these chatbots that you can create for any sort of frequently asked question. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about where sort of the idea comes from. So we all probably have iPhones or Google phones or Microsoft phones or devices where we have those cognitive services that are allowing us to use voice recognition or type recognition to find information online and actually feed that back to us. So all of the platforms are making them and they've got access to them. And a chatbot is, I suppose, a smaller version of what this is, and a great way to introduce students to be creators and makers of these sorts of systems. So What do bots do? They essentially, I suppose, use these things called channels. So if you look at some of the channels that we probably all know and use all the time, like Skype or Messenger or chat apps like Kik, we can use them to feed into a chatbot and ask it a question. And essentially what it would do is go online using the cloud or intelligence or big data to actually be able to find information and then take action to those answers and send them back to the user. So it's a really question answer conversation interface. So things that we like to do as humans, I suppose. We've all probably used chatbots before. I was on a chatbot having a conversation with someone on Optus one time, very recently, where I was actually asking questions about my mobile phone plan, and it was giving me lots of responses that it really was probably pulling from their frequently asked questions on their website. So what are cognitive services? There's lots of different ways that we can bring other tools into chatbots. So we can start with the chatbot system itself, which I'll show you guys today, and I'll do a little quick demo. But things like vision, speech, language, knowledge, and obviously search are all cognitive services that allows us to feed into these types of little pieces of software that we can create to sort of create this whole idea of a chatbot or artificial intelligence. There's some really great ways that you can use things like webcams to take facial recognition, and it can recognize different emotions and be able to feed that information back to you. So there's some really cool stuff that students are starting to create around this sort of platform. And I wanted to show you guys this thing called Q&A Maker. So I'm going to jump out of my presentation and go straight to the platform here. It's a free tool. It's just qandamaker.ai, and you can create a knowledge base. You can even pull it from frequently asked questions that you already have written. So if you've got them on your website, or if you've got a list of questions that you've already created, you can then feed them into this system for you, and it will create a chatbot within about 60 seconds. Or you can do something like what I did, and I sat down for a few minutes and I sort of came up with some different questions and some answers that my robot might be able to, or my chatbot might be able to respond to. So if I go, oh my gosh, hey TTPlay bot, it then says, hopefully it'll say, hey Trent and the TTPlay crew, what are you going to teach us? Teach us today? And it's pulling my questions, and I've already got a knowledge base at the back end to be able to, I suppose, get my bot to be able to respond to me. I'll do one more thing. What is TeachTechPlay?
Trent, just so you know, I think your screen might have just frozen.
Okay, thank you. So it's now feeding me, as I'm typing questions from my knowledge base, that information back to me. So we can then embed these on our website. So we could definitely make one for the TeachTechPlay website in the conference. And if people jump on your website, they can find out lots of information about it. Let me just quickly jump into my slides, because I do want to share back with you what my brain started happening to my brain when I was, thinking about this chatbot. Because as a lot of you know, I do a lot of work around the 21st century learning design framework, and so many elements of this little chatbot can really be applied if we wrap some deeper learning design around it. Give me 30 more seconds, Eleni, I beg you, please.
Go for it.
So,
you haven't got your slides though. Just maybe close your share and maybe open it up again, because it's just frozen on one of the slides.
Yeah, okay. Stop sharing.
We love technology.
I know, don't we? Hang on. Share my screen. You've got to see this. Can you see my screen now?
Hang on. Yes, it's coming. Hang on. Yes, I can see your face.
Good, because I spent lots of time on this slide, so I wanted to make sure it was used. 21 CLD, skilled communication, being able to think about the types of communication modes that we have in the 21st century, designing communication for a particular audience, and students being able to reflect on the effectiveness of their communication. It's critical. Obviously, the ICT capabilities pulled into this with digital technologies, computational and systems thinking, and all of the stuff that links with that. And obviously, just the higher order thinking that goes on when we have to design questions and think about the possible answers. So I think if we think about these types of tools and then try to wrap some deeper learning around it, it can be a really effective way to get kids introduced to these types of bots, and obviously integrating the technologies with literacy. So bots are the first place you get started, and then we can move from bots into forms bots and connected system bots. And I've seen a really amazing example of this being used by students at the Victorian tech schools, where a student was introduced to this chatbot and took this so far that he created his own connected system bot, which used speech recognition connected to his school timetable. And he was able to voice ask the system questions, and it was pulling data from his school calendar, his school backend system, and his own personal calendar to be able to create tasks, ask a question about what's my next class, who's my biology teacher, and he went off and did some really amazing things to create his own little chatbot system. So I did want to just do a little bit of a shout out, because we are going to go and visit this student who has created an amazing little system from the Vic Tech schools on our Innovative Schools Tour bus, which is happening in November in Victoria and Queensland. So if anyone's interested to jump on the bus with us, we're going to go and visit 4 really amazing schools that are doing awesome things with technology or transformation projects in their schools. They're going to share all of their successes, wins and challenges. It's a really exciting day. We've got one in Queensland and Victoria. So if you're interested to learn more about it, jump on the website collectiveeducation.com.au. That's it.
Perfect. Thank you, Trent. And that is absolutely amazing. And, you know, you've just set up your own task. I'm going to put it on you to create one for TeachTechPlay website.
Right.
So thank you for that.
More work for myself.
Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah. So well done on that. Added that to your list as well. But huge thank you, Trent. That is amazing to see new technologies that are coming out and how it is easy for our students to create things that they always wonder about how that actually works. Did anyone have any questions for Trent? You might need to unmute yourself, anyone who wants to talk.
Trent, how long did it take you to do your Photoshop?
So I used PowerPoint, remove background, under a second.
Under a second.
And maybe a little bit of tweaking, yeah.
It looked good, mate. I appreciated it.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Yeah, Trent, I was just wondering what year levels you're working with this.
I've seen this in action with some kids from year 7 to year 10.
Cool.
They've all been introduced to it and obviously take it at different levels, but I could really see, you know, it's a very simple interface. You make these little paired questions and answers. You could use this easily with kids down in even grade 3 and 4 to get them started and introduced to this concept.
Yeah, it looks great. Thanks. That will be my Sunday. Trent, cheers.
Have fun with it. It's good fun. You can give your bot lots of personality too. You can even make them have a bit of humor.
Yeah, I love it. Thanks.
Perfect. Thanks, Trent. Next up, we have got Penny. And Penny, you'll be sharing with us essential tools for Digitech curriculum and where to start. And I know this is a question that comes up all the time, like 100 times. Like every school, every person's always like, what do I do? Where do I start? What do I get? So I'm interested to hear what you have to say. So let me know when you're ready and I will start the timer.
Thanks, Eleni. Yep, I'll just get my screen up. Yeah, it's interesting. I thought people were aware of some of these tools now, but I've actually come to decide that that's not actually true. Can you see my PowerPoint now?
Yep, that's perfect.
Great. Okay, I'm ready to start. So I'm just going to quickly share some essential tools of where you need to go. There is so much information and digital online resources and tools for Digitech that I almost think it's a little bit overwhelming. So I think you need to just start with a few key ones, and that's what I want to share. I also just want to share quickly the curriculum and highlight how important it is to find that sweet spot in the middle of the strand. So in Victoria, we have 3 strands. The national curriculum only actually has 2, but we've created it down to the 3. And it's really important to bring, when you're creating a digital solution, you can bring in that data and information learning and also the digital systems. And if you can bring those all together, you're going to have a really rich learning experience. So what tools do I think are really essential? So the first one is the DigiPub, which the department actually produced. What we did was find some getting started resources on the different strands. So when you go into that DigiPub, it actually highlights some of the why, which is really important to explain to your whole staff if you're leading Digitech in your school. you've got to give it context of why we're even doing this. It looks at how to get started, so some planning and that sort of stuff. Looking at whole school planning, which is really important. Looking at your whole school and where you're actually going with Digitech, so you're not crossing over and teaching things in multiple year levels. Then it looks at some of the resources from all the way from foundation stage. So as you know, the Digitech curriculum in Victoria is broken up into levels, and it only actually does every alternate level. So 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. And lots of people get hung up on the coding side of it. We need to really unpack that and think more about the computational thinking, the design thinking, the systems thinking, and all that problem solving that brings together those types of thinking, instead of getting hung up on the coding side of it. We actually kind of relate to that in a way of building a house. So when you build a house, you don't just get your builder in and he starts putting the bricks together. That's the coding. So there's a whole lot of thinking before you build your house. An architect needs to design it. You need to evaluate those designs, and then you start building it, and then you evaluate your house at the end. So creating a digital solution is a bit the same. So the coding is just a small part, and that's a really important message that I'd like to get across today. Another really important message is that 50% of the curriculum can actually be taught without the use of a digital device. So don't run out and buy all the latest gadgets, because there's a lot that you can do to teach students those fundamentals before you even get into devices. So the Digitech, the DigiPub goes into all of that stuff. It also has some really great FAQs and organisations. There's lots of organisations out there to support, or national competitions. Oh my God, that's not enough time. I haven't even got started. Okay, so I'm just going to have to quickly go into my other tools. The Digitech Hub is a national hub that's got some great information on it, but I particularly like the topics section to understand some of the vocabulary, which is really important. CS Unplugged, which is a great site out of New Zealand. It really has some amazing learning tasks that can be used right across the board to start understanding some key principles. And Fuse, which is a Victorian content repository, has heaps of information and resources to help you with Digitech. I could go on and explain a lot more. Oh, my slides aren't even working. Oh no, my pictures are gone. Okay, so I'm going to stop there.
No problem, Penny. All good. And you know, and what you just shared actually is just absolutely fantastic. You've given us so many. Have you got your screen working, by the way?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. That's okay. I'll just stop sharing.
No, but what you just shared gave us a huge scope. And I think, you know, when we think about Digitech and everything, not to get fixated on technology, because there is so many other components to it. And so much of it is in that language and in the way that you integrate things to really make it count. And, you know, check out Fuse, check out CS Unplugged. There are so many websites out there with ideas and lessons that you can jump on and use straight away. So, yeah.
Even before any of that stuff, if you've never been exposed to the curriculum, I'd highly recommend the CSER MOOC, which has been designed for teachers and was heavily funded by Google. It's an amazing online course, which is run out of the Adelaide Uni. So I'd definitely plug that as a place to go first to get that deep understanding of the curriculum.
And I've even done that course, and it was great just to sort of ensure that you're doing everything correctly. So, and it's nice, easy to do, and you meet a lot of teachers along the way, which is great with those online courses that you can do. Did anyone else have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I do, Eleni. Penny, it's really, we're actually in a really exciting age because the resources, they're phenomenal, like Fuse, CS Unplugged, all of those are really powerful, but also the fact that a lot of the curriculum is being done already. If you're looking at data and the visualization of math, teachers do that. I think that what we have to do is just unpack the language. And as soon as the language is unpacked, teachers go, oh, I already do that. I'm just adding an extra element. And I think that that's the role of your sort of digital technology coaches and people in schools who have that responsibility. If you've gone and visited the the Australian curriculum website, where would you start next? What's the sort of first step you would take after that?
I'd probably go to CS Unplugged and try and learn some of those core understandings. So what actually some of those difficult words mean, like an algorithm. Like when you come across some of that language, it's quite confronting if you haven't heard some of those words before. But once you actually have an understanding of what an algorithm is, it's not that difficult. So an algorithm is a set of instructions. And there's lots of ways that you can teach that in your classroom before you even touch a device. So, and I've done lots of activities with teachers in particular about doing things like doing little steps of putting cups in a sequence, and they have to pretend, one of them has to pretend to be a robot. And if the programming doesn't work, so the codes that they use, so in this instance it was arrows, then the robot won't be able to finish the task. And it's really that understanding of computers don't have a brain, so the instructions need to be really clear. Like when we follow instructions, we can miss out bits, but with a computer you can't miss out bits. And it's some of those key understandings that are really essential that I think would be the best place to start.
And that's just procedural text 101, looking at literacy and the infusion. So there's so many, I think the programs that do the best are the ones that pull back in the digital technologies to, your core areas of literacy and numeracy. And I think if you can do that, there's such overlap.
That's right, but it's making it really explicit. So that's fine to bring it together, but you've got to make the digital technologies content really explicit. Like this is what it would look like in the digital space.
Yep.
This is what it looks like in literacy. So what are the connections? What's the common ground? Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Penny. Next up, Steve. Welcome. How are you?
I'm good, mate. How you doing? I'm a bit red-faced coming from boot camp. It's like, this exercise thing won't take off, I tell you. All right. So one of the things that I'm going to share, I'm going to cheat a little bit as I usually do. And I'm going to just show a couple of hacks that I use to enable me to be a little bit more productive and to be a little bit more focused. So
can I start the timer?
You may. It's going to be short and sweet.
Easy.
A lot of us work in open plan offices, or we work in busy spaces, and it's really, really hard to concentrate when there's so much noise going on in the background. So I work in an office where there's 14 other people and it's all hustle bustle, and I find it really hard to concentrate when I'm trying to work on deep work. So I'm just going to share my screen, and I'm going to show you a couple of things that I use to get through that. Let me just bring this up and share. Everybody see? So the first one is an app called brain.fm. So there's a lot of research around music providing concentration, and a particular type of music. So generally, it's repetitive music without lyrics that just sort of fades to the background. But I find some of that music really, really difficult to listen to. And so I've been digging around trying to find a couple of solutions that I can put on while I'm trying to do some deep work, just to sort of assist with concentration. And I landed on brain.fm. Now, brain.fm sort of is artificial intelligence that basically composes a set of music for your brain while you're trying to concentrate. It has a couple of categories. So I tend to go with the focus category. And what it does, and there's a huge amount of research behind it, is it provides just that gentle soundtrack in the background to just sort of zone your focus in while you're trying to concentrate. And with the focus, it goes in 2-hour batches. And what I do is I set up my morning, coffee's ready, 9 o'clock kick off, and then that first block when my brain is its freshest, brain.fm is on, and the task that I need to do that's the heaviest in terms of a cognitive load, I do. And I find brain.fm to be really, really powerful. It is a cost, but I was a bit sneaky at the start because I have a couple of Google accounts. I signed up, you get 10 free sessions when you sign up for an account. So I switched between a couple of Google accounts to stretch that out, just to really put it through its ringers. but it costs $47 for the year. And I love it. And it's got an app on your phone as well. So you can plug it in on your phone if you're trying to do work that's not tied to your computer. Unbelievable for concentration. Some people were a little skeptical when I sort of showed it to them, but as you get used to it, it just helps to block out that background noise. The other app is if you enjoy the background noise, because sometimes the coffee shop feel can assist with helping you to concentrate. The other one, this comes from Dean Pearman, and it's called Cofftivity. And Cofftivity is a soundtrack of a coffee shop. And you can choose a coffee shop, a lounge, a university. And what it does is it provides background noise that gives you the feel of being in a coffee shop to help you with your concentration. So they're two things, both probably at the opposite ends of the spectrum. One is kind of targeted noise. The other is just noise. And they're really, really powerful for assisting with concentrating. I put Cofftivity on sometimes when I need my class to concentrate, because they've got that sort of that noise. Some kids will put headphones in. I'll put Cofftivity on in the background, and it really adds to sort of getting them on task. So if you're looking to increase your focus, Cofftivity and brain.fm.
Perfect. 5 seconds, Steve. Well
Winning.
done. Now, is Cofftivity, does it have a cost to it?
There's a premium version, but you can play just the straight up version. I think the premium version has a few different options, as in, different cafes and cafes that promote a particular type. That one is more a Dean Pearman one. I am more a Brain FM aficionado.
Perfect. Thank you. I'll have to check them out. And especially if you get a free chance, I think I've got like 15 Google accounts. So that will be easy. I could probably go 2 years without having to have it. Did anyone else have any questions or comments?
Yeah, Steve, I love those two tools. I'm definitely going to check them out today. And it's a little tip with the Google accounts. I'll be sure to do that as well. I went to a PD a while ago. It's called The Psychology of Innovation with Dr. Amantha Imber. Amazing. She's wrote a really great book. I think she's got 2 books actually, but she was talking about research and how important sound and like the location is for when you are like studying or trying to work. And the research actually showed that people work best when the sound is at 7 decibels, which is quite interesting. So, a lot of people think like I need to be in a library and work in silence, but she did this research that said pretty much like the cafe noise is the best way to work, which is interesting.
Yeah, I love Amanda's work, and especially from Inventium. She's, just the way that they unpack innovation from a sort of a research base is incredible. It's interesting, the whole senses. Like we look at our offices, and my office in particular, there's not much natural light, but if you get vitamin D and melatonin production and all of these other things, they all contribute, but often we just think, I just need to sit down and do the work. But if you can tweak a few of those little hacks and increase the decibels to 7 and get a little natural sunlight, they all add to a better mood, but also to doing better work.
Yeah, definitely. It's just great work.
Perfect. Trent, you got a question?
I just think it really highlights too how lucky we are in Australia, particularly that we do have natural light flowing into our classrooms, and that we do have access to, being able to see some of these creative tools like Brain FM and use them for different students, because obviously some students would respond really well to this and others might use a different, way of focusing and concentrating. So I love your stuff on focus. It's great.
It's really interesting. My year 7 class, Trent, I've got a couple of kids who can we listen to music? And I'm like, the work that you're doing, if that helps you get into your jam, go for it. But often we think that that's a distraction. But I put things on when I need to work. So it's all about how the best conditions for learning. So I just use whatever's available. But we're in a great space in Australia.
Perfect. Thanks, Steve. And that sort of reflects, I know myself, if I sat in my room to write reports, I would not get one done. But if I sit near the TV and not even really watching it, but just that background noise, it makes such a difference. Like sitting in a quiet room is not helpful for me at all. I can't focus. It unfocuses me. I end up looking at the flowers out the window or something for like 2 hours. So no, that's definitely good. I should definitely need to get on top of that, because I sometimes do find I do sometimes want to watch what's actually on the TV when I'm writing reports. So
Is it Bachelor?
I'll get on to that. No, not The Bachelor. I've been watching a bit of Netflix lately, but I'll get started so we can get out of here and keep going with our day. But I am going to share one of my new sort of favorite tools. So before I share my screen, I'm just going to hold up this box. So it's called Bloxels, and I came across it 2 years ago. Mark Anderson shared it with me, and he was actually going to share it on TeachTechPlay, and then he got caught up and didn't get around to it. And then I saw it again at a conference, and then not last year, in June when we were at ISTE in America, I went to the Bloxels little thing and I said, I need one of these kits because I couldn't get it out to Australia. So what it is, it's a little grid here. It's just a little black grid. You probably can't see it too well. And you also get these little colored blocks that go inside it. So I'm just going to share my screen and share my slides because I've got better images on there. All right, can you all see my screen? Yes? No?
Yes, we can see it.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, so Bloxels is a game builder where you can create your own video games. Now, it is a free app that you can get on the iPad, and you don't actually need the board to build it. So I used it a lot last year with my year sixes, and I didn't even have the board. I only got that this year. But what it does is you use these colored blocks, you create a sort of a game board, and then you can go into the world and play it. And it's similar to Mario. So how it works, you can imagine, you build, you capture, you design, and then you obviously play. So as you can see, you get the box with all the little colored blocks, and it goes into it. So each colored block represents a different thing. So it's like your basic coding, where green is your grass, blue is water, red is like lava, yellow is coins, purple are villains. So you have all these different things that you can create your own game. And with the board, you can create it, then take a photo, and it uploads that straight into the app, which is really, really cool. But what you can even do, what Bloxels has even done now is they're creating an educator handbook. So you can buy education packs and subscribe your school for the education program. So there's the educator handbook and the brainstorming kit. And that's got lots of lesson ideas of how you can actually integrate it into what you are currently doing. And I got my hands on those at ISTE, which was pretty cool. But what I've been using it for, we've been using it in our Tinker time. So talking about game design and problem solving, and what's the chance of winning, and is this a game that people want to play? How do you create a game that people want to play? But then we also linked it to our unit on measurement. So obviously with Bloxels, it's all blocks. So it's a grid 13 by 13. It's interesting it's 13 by 13, I find. But once you've created, you can create characters and different blocks within it. So here my students have created a character that they then had to go put into the app, and they had to calculate the area, the perimeter for their actual character. And now I've just got a quick little video, and let's hope it works to show you, and I'll talk you through it, how it works, if it wants to play. Hopefully it does. So pretty much you go into the app, and it's a free app, and you'll see I'm not even using the board for this demonstration here. And once it goes into the app, you select the game building mode, and once it loads, and then within here, you can create your own game, and it stores all your games on the left-hand side there. Starts off with a blank canvas, and then you simply click on the colored blocks on the side, and then they will come across.
Eleni, are we supposed to be seeing the video?
Yeah, is it not working?
Okay, no. We're just stuck on the slide of the photo at the moment.
All right, I'll exit this and I'll reshare. I love sharing videos. They sometimes work and they sometimes just will not work. All right, let's see if that will work now. And I'll share this video out so then you can go into it and have a look. Come on, is it working now?
Yep.
All right, perfect. I'll just jump forward if it will let me. I've got the stupid question and answers there. Ah, that's all right. So yeah, you go into it and then you click on it. I'll just quickly show you this as you create it so you get an idea. So you just select the colors and then it builds it, which is nice and easy. And this is great because one of my students put 100 villains and then realized you couldn't even get past the first little level. that she had created. So then we spoke about, now, would anyone want to play this? Imagine if you were playing, what would happen? So here you can see I'm just sort of building my game, adding my colors. And then when I hit the play button down the bottom, it will take me into that world. And you'll see it's nice and basic and boring, where it's just the blocks moving around. But then what it does is it actually, you can go out of the game and you can actually change all those blocks to different features. And you can create your own, you can make lots of things. So on the left-hand side here, you've got animation ones where you can insert them to make it more appealing to your eye. I sort of introduced this, didn't think much of it, but the kids, one student made a whole idea about her life. So each world was a different thing about her life. And, you know, you can create stories, link it to math. It's sort of that introductory to coding as well, and problem solving of how to create something and work and make it work. So, yep, you get a basic idea and there you go. It goes into it there. So you can see, you get lives and you can get jetpacks and a whole lot of things. So I'll stop there because I've already gone over time. So yeah, that's Bloxels in a very quick snapshot, but love using it. Does anyone have any questions?
I've got a quick question. Is it only available as an app and an iPad, or is it web-based as well, like a web?
They were talking about it. I'm pretty sure it is available web-based. When I was at ISTE, they were talking about it, but I haven't explored it further. So I don't know if it is available yet. I'd have to jump on and check.
Okay. Yeah. And interesting, like just a comment. I mean, like it's amazing how as soon as you have a tool like this, where, and Steve mentioned it before, the links to literacy and numeracy and coding or digital technologies and soft skills and imagination, creativity, like it's really just any of these tools that are out there. It's just about what we wrap around it, isn't it? And it's making that explicit possible. It's great.
And that's the whole thing with it. You know, when I first saw it, I couldn't really see too many connections, but as soon as you start using it, the kids start coming up with ideas as well. And what I really loved about it is a lot of our kids today are playing games, but they actually don't know the process of building them and what has to happen. And I had one girl in my class who's gone home and researched other people's games on Bloxels and found out how to make lava go up and down and created all these things herself. So, you know, it's that whole process of playing and seeing how games are worked and trying to do it yourself.
That's great.
Eleni, I've got a question.
Yeah.
Can you share the game? So like if I created a game, can I share it with you?
Yeah, so there is a whole online portal that they have created in Bloxels where you can log in. It is 13 plus for children. So I just, with my kids, they just go on and don't have an account. They can still create it. But, you know, they are creating that education login system. They're saying it should be, they said by the American school year, but I haven't seen it available yet. So I imagine early next year it should be available, that you can have your class and you can see all their projects and everything. That's something they are working on, which is really, really exciting.
Eleni, I was lucky enough to get a Bloxels from my daughter. I haven't been able to wrestle it back from her at all. She's 6. So and we look at it as fine motor skill development, because those blocks, like my fat fingers can't work on it, but she just loves it. So,
and the other thing is, it's actually, I just was in Kmart the other day and I saw it. It's now being sold in Kmart for 30 Australian dollars, which is nice and handy because in America, the shipping was more than the actual kit cost. So good Christmas present coming up if anyone is interested in something. Any other questions or comments? No, perfect. We'll end with Phil. So Phil, you will be sharing with us now creating a product of the future using CAD or CAD and entrepreneurial skills. So I know Toorak College is doing some amazing things, so I'm looking forward to hearing what you've got to share.
Great, thanks so much. I'll just jump in and share my screen. Is that all good, showing for you now?
Yep, perfect.
Cool. Cool. So yeah, I'm going to chat about our product of the future, which is a Year 7 assessment that we created probably like 2 years now. Yeah, 2 years ago now, and we look at how we really engage our students. And the great thing about this assessment is that each semester it does change. So we really reflect on it. We get feedback from students and the teaching team, and change it up to see, you know, what we need to do and what areas we need to really focus on. So the product of the future, we do cover quite a few different areas. So it's quite huge, but we really, I think a lot of it is like a real introduction for our students. So we look at computer-aided design and 3D printing. That's probably like the main focus of the assessment, but then we work purely with the design process. So the students actually have to follow that design process. And I think, with like VCD and PDT, those like VCE subjects, they really follow that, but we wanted to bring it in down to our year 7s to really start focusing, having an understanding of as well. Recently, we've done some work with social innovation, working with David Price and Chris Hart. So they're doing some really great things in that area. So check them out. But we're bringing a bit of social innovation into the product of the future task as well. Really introducing our students to STEAM, but also to like the future careers as well, and why STEAM's such an issue. Because I guess for us as educators, we always hear STEM, STEAM. There's all these acronyms, but students probably don't hear that as much. So we discuss that with them when we're doing this assessment. And then we've just recently really pulled in those entrepreneurial skills and a little bit of marketing as well. So that's kind of what we're trying to do in one assessment task. So I think really important with every task we do, we have to ask the why. So when we're looking at the why, firstly for us, we created this, we had a new subject called future thinking. So we changed a few of our subjects up a few years ago, and this was really, I guess, responding to the new Australian curriculum, looking at digital technologies and designer technology. So there are hyperlinks there, and I'll tweet these slides out, but you can really quite clearly see how this assessment links to a few of those points, which is a good thing, I guess. If you haven't looked at the Foundation for Young Australians, fantastic website with heaps of data that can support you. So, things such as, 77% more time using, it's blocking me, using STEM skills, or 40% more time critical thinking. And, they say that we'll need an entrepreneurial mindset. So, some really great figures there. And then also the Horizon report that I'm sure you're all aware of, but they are hyperlinked there, and having a look at how in the future we'll need an understanding of that coding language and STEAM learning for the future. So that's kind of the why, and I guess in a way to justify what we're doing is really important. So that's the why of the assessment. The project brief is up there, and I'm really happy to share our rubrics, our assessment briefs, and everything.
1 minute.
So tweet me and we'll go through that. Learning intention is really to develop an understanding of CAD, and our success criteria is to design an original, creative and innovative product of the future. 1 minute, that's crazy. I'm pretty sure this is like a 40-minute presentation. I apologize. I'll go real quick. There's 5 steps involved here. Step 1, the students work through the design process and create a concept. Step 2, they work with the CAD software and produce a prototype. Then we look at feedback from friends, teachers and peers as well. And family too. Then step 4, we go through the printing process, and step 5, we bring those entrepreneurial skills in, and we get our students to do a 60-second sales pitch. So I pretty much just ripped off Shark Tank, but it's really fun. We get like collegians in, so like female designers or female engineers to come like be on the panel, just to make it more. Design process we've seen. There's some links to the subject with STEAM here, so how we can kind of create an actual meaningful STEAM program works quite well with this assessment. Here are some student examples. So we use SketchUp, but you could use Tinkercad. They're all free, so you can do this assessment with 0 cost. You don't need a 3D printer. Here are some examples of student work. So there's a range of innovations there. Marking criteria, as I said, tweet me and I can send you some rubrics and information. I'm talking really quick, I need to breathe. And then just really advice tips. This is a 20-hour assessment task. So we have 2 hours a week, and we do it over 10 weeks. So there's a few areas here, but just exploring human-centered design, future innovations, and like I pointed out, you don't need a 3D printer to successfully run this task. You can do it without and just use that CAD software. There you go. Great, thanks.
Perfect. Thank you, Phil. And I think it's really important that you do have those structures. And I think, once you get into, any sort of those upper primary grades, those secondary grades, you can really allow them to explore and work as a group and sort of create something together. And I think that's really great, the way you structured that and that process going through it. And my favorite bit was where they get feedback not only from students, but parents and family as well. Yeah. And I think that's key, bringing them into it. I think that these new digital technologies, this new curriculum coming through is quite scary for parents. They've never seen it before and they don't understand what's happening. So any opportunities that you can incorporate them into it, I think is really key. So yeah, really well done.
Thanks. We set up, just a Google Doc with different areas of feedback. And I found it's really interesting. Like parents, they can actually be quite brutal. Like they're so honest with their students. Like, the students will be like, this is my concept. This is my product of the future. And, you might have like the younger brother or the dad be like, no, you need to work on this. Look at this shape, look at the size. But, for us, it's just a really fun, creative assessment. Like it's, a lot of creativity in there and, thinking of future innovations. And I didn't point out, but, we do say something that may or may not exist in the future. So we've had some, concepts that, I want to steal. And I always tell the students like, copyright this because I'm going to go make a lot of money from it, which I don't because it's not ethical. But I think, some of them are quite out there and it's fun. It's a fun assessment.
Yeah, no, it's always great to see what their ideas are for the future. I know our preps did an innovation thing to save like resources around the home. And one of them said, a bath stopper. So there's like a sensor on the bath that once the water reaches that level, it stops and it keeps at that temperature. And I was like, that's actually a really smart idea.
That's really good. We should probably all get together, the four of us now.
And try to do it. Yeah. Steve, I imagine you've got something to ask Phil.
Always. It's a very similar journey, Phil, because when we were redeveloping our program for Year 7, we sat down with our head of VCD and just said, there's no reason that we shouldn't have a pathway here and a really strong pathway. And while it's still an introduction to design thinking and human-centered design, which are really huge concepts and you can always get better, I guess now having run it for a little while, what have you learnt? If you had to start over again, what would you do differently?
I think, really great point with that VCD and meeting with the teacher. We're really lucky. Our VCD teacher, Jill, is amazing, but she's also in our Year 7 teaching team. So, we can kind of get those ideas and then she can create those really nice, flow there. What I'll do differently, I don't know. I think, the subject changes quite regularly. Like, we're always going like, what's happening? How can we make this more engaging? But really every semester at the end, Jill and I will sit down and go, what are we doing next? And, for example, like that social innovation, human-centered design, we really only put in last semester. So that's like changing. I think if we were to do it again or, I don't know, tricky maybe, I don't know, maybe look at timing of it as well. Like I feel sometimes the concept development, like it's maybe too rushed. I don't know. Like I think maybe if we could put that in further, give the students some more time with their concepts, would be good, I guess.
Yeah, it's the same thing for us. It's like, can we make this a year? Can we give it extra time? Yeah. And it's always because you want to unpack these amazing, especially if you've got those little moments where it's, that teachable moment that might take a little bit of time, but it's time.
I know it's always the big thing, time. We need more time. Yeah. I'm thinking maybe the school, like making the school day longer. I don't think students or staff like that idea, but I'm pushing. Maybe Saturday school, who knows? We could have the best concepts. Imagine the products we would get.
Imagine what you could do. Bill, if you could just stop sharing your screen for me, and I can just share this slides to vote. Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, cool.
So just going back, remember that is the end of our show. We've had some absolutely fantastic presenters. Make sure you jump onto the website and vote for your favorite presenter, and also check out all our previous episodes, and the details for the conference are also up there. And just a little shout out again for Trent. He's got his innovative schools bus, so make sure you check that out if you're interested in doing that. It is the last month, not long to go till summer holidays here in Australia, so keep working hard, teachers. You're doing a great job. We've got one more episode for the year, and I'm sure our December episode is always a good one to end off the year with. So make sure you tune in at the start of December for episode 36. Thanks again for watching, guys, and we hope you've enjoyed tonight's show, and we look forward to hopefully meeting some of you in person at the conference, or just reaching out to the community and asking for help when you need it. So thanks again to all our presenters. See you later.